Hi, so today on Catherine Learn Stuff, we're going to learn how to design our own Galentine's Day purse in Design Space. It's pretty simple. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pick our shapes and we're going to pick a square. Just moving the square over, we're going to want to make sure that we go into the edit mode and select the lock to unlock our length and width so that we can change sizes. Now I'm using my pen in this, so I just find it easier, and I'm on my iPad. We want to make sure that the box right now for this is going to be the front of the front face of the purse. We want the width right now just to be, we're going to make it 9 inches, and the height we're going to make, let's go 7.5. And we're going to zoom in here to make it a little bit better. I don't like that height. I'm going to change that height to 10, just to make it a little bit more of a rectangle. So this is going to be the front face of our box, of our Galentine's Day purse. I'm going to add another shape here. I'm going to add another rectangle, just so that we can see the contrast. I'm going to change the color to red. And I'm going to extend this to be, that looks about 8.5 by just over 5.8 inches in size. So that looks about good on my shape here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over to the side, and I'm going to insert another shape. I'm going to insert a circle. What I'm going to do with the circle is I'm going to make it into an oval, and this is going to be sort of the top of my, this is going to be the front face of my purse. And I'm going to slice this so that I've got a nice shape here. So this will be, I'm going to get rid of my black edges, and now I've got this sort of nice design here that's going to sit on my purse like this. Another thing that I'm going to add in here is I'm going to add some stripes down the sides. So I'm going to add in another shape of a rectangle here, and I'm going to try to make it about 0.75 inches wide, just for fun. And then I'm going to duplicate that so that I can have 2 of them of the same size. And we're going to put them, I'm going to move this guy out of the way here for a second. So I want to have these kind of centered from of each other, and I want them a little bit closer because I don't like that location. So we're just going to move them a little bit closer there. They're roughly centered here from each other. The nice thing with using it on your iPad, you can have the smart lines in your grid showing up here. So I'm going to slice this. I have to slice this 4 times because I've basically got 4 different pieces. So I've got to type slice the tops and the bottoms individually so that they all get sliced. But once I've sliced this 4 times, I'm going to have, that didn't work out. I'm going to have a bottom piece and a top piece, and I can get rid of all this extra stuff that I don't need. And so now if I put these 2 together again, they look nicely here. And that's the front face of my Galentine's Day purse. Now we're not totally done yet. I still need to add some strap pieces here before I start to duplicate. So again, I'm going to make a rectangle. Now my straps here were about 1/4 inch wide. So I'm going to make this piece 1 inch wide, just so that I've got a little bit of overlap. So that looks a little bit too big. So I'm going to make this 1 inch wide by 1.5 inches high, and that's going to be sort of the shape, the size of my strap here, and it's going to be right into this location. So what I need to do, I need to add in a bottom section so that looks nice, nice round edges. So width again is going to be 1 inch. Gotta lock my dimensions here. The width is going to be 1 inch, which will give me the same size as the rectangle above. So this can then sit nicely together. Sorry, I'm having issues with my pen today. I'm just going to weld these 2 together. So now I've got a nice little attachment for my purse. So I'm changing the color to be red just so that it matches this one here. And I'm going to make 2 of these, but before I do that, I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to change the size to be 0.75, and then I'm going to duplicate it as well, and I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees here. I'm just going to flip it vertically, and then I'm going to weld these two together. So this is going to be what I'm going to attach my clasps onto for the purse. So I'm going to weld these two pieces together quickly, and I'll change the color to black, just to the gray, just so that I've got some contrast here for when we're cutting this later. So this is going to sit about here. Now this piece will be folded over in my purse when I'm designing it later. So I'm going to duplicate this. So I've got two of them. I'm just going to rearrange them so that my colors are in the right order. And move this one back a spot. So this one's going to sit sort of in this spot here, and then this one will be sitting over here. So this is basically the front of my purse. Now I could change the back and have it a little bit different, but I'm going to keep it the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the whole thing and I'm just going to duplicate this. Now one of my sections is flipped to the back, so if I can, I'm just going to move this around so you can see them again, rearrange it so that's there, and I'm going to send this one here to the front, and that's the duplicate purse. So I've got my front and my back. What I need to do next is I need to make the bottom and the sides. So just quickly figuring out what my measurements here are. So again, I have a width of 10 inches at the bottom here of this purse and a height of 7.5 inches high. So I'm going to add in a shape, a 10-inch rectangle at the bottom. And I'm going to make it 7.5 inches wide, if I can figure out how to... So this is that's not right. I'm going to 10 inches here, and I'm going to make you 5.5 inches for now, just to be a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to do similarly, I'm going to create a rectangle on the side here that's going to be 7.5 inches tall, and I'm going to make this also 5 inches wide. So it's going to be 5, and this is going to be 7.5. Okay, so this is going to be my part of my sides of the box. So what I have to do next is I have to make little tabs on this to allow the pieces to all combine each other. So quickly just making another rectangle. They have to be the full length of each piece. So I'm going to make this 10 inches wide, and I'm going to make this 0.5 inches in height. So this is going to be the tab that I add here, but I got to add some notches here. And I find the best way to do this is just by adding a triangle on a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to slice these two pieces so that they're cut apart. So I can, if I'm lucky, I have to zoom in to get a better grab hold here. I've got an extra piece here. I'm just going to flip this piece, and I'm going to reuse it on my other side to slice the other half of my tab here. So let that change the size. Okay, and I'm going to slice this one more time. Okay, so now I'm going to get rid of these extra pieces that I don't need. And I have a piece here at the side. So what I need to do is I need to duplicate this piece, so I have two, and then I'm also going to flip it so that I've got a top and a bottom piece. And before I do anything else, I'm going to just put this here, but I'm also going to make another duplicate piece of this. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees so that I can use this for my side pieces. So this will be at the side here, and I don't need it to be the length that it is. I just need it to be 5.5 inches in height. So I'm going to change this from 10 to 5.5 so that I've got the right dimension. And now I've got a side tab. Again, I'm just going to duplicate this piece and bring it over to the other side, and I'm going to flip it around. So now I've got 4 pieces, and I'm just going to line them all up nicely here so that they're all in the exact perfect spots. And this is why I like to use the iPad, because everything lines up beautifully with the smart grid. Okay, so all the pieces are now attached. So what I'm going to do is I quickly grab everything and I'm going to weld it up. No, before I weld it, the one thing I need to do, sorry, I forgot, I need to copy this piece here. So I'm just going to duplicate this and pull it to the side. Now I'm going to weld everything back together. So I've welded this. This piece that I have a duplicate of, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Edit, and I'm going to change it from a basic cut into a score line and apply that. So once I apply this, now I've got this ability to pre-mark my score line. So I just need to make sure that it's centered properly. And I'm going to attach this to my box. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to send this to the back so you can see the score lines. So now you can see the score lines. I'm going to attach this so that when I cut it, it's ready to go. I'm going to do a similar thing for the top, for the side panel here, except I only need 3 sides. I don't need a top side for this. So this is 7.5 inches tall, so I need to change my height here to 7.5, and the last ones we did was 0.5 in thickness, so we want to keep it the same for all of them. And again, we're going to use the same method that we used last time. I guess I could have just copied an extra one of those and had it a spare sitting around, but I didn't think of that. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller, this triangle, and I'm going to slice my 2 pieces here, get rid of some of these surplus pieces that I got, and I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to grab this piece if I'm lucky, which is not cooperating. I'm going to move it up here, I'm going to flip it, and then I'm going to slice it again so that I can use this right here. But if I can move it, there we go. So we're just going to line it up again, we're going to slice, and now I've got some extra pieces that I don't need to get rid of. So I've got the side panel here, I'm going to duplicate it, I'm going to move it over to the other half, and I am going to flip it. Okay, so that one's ready, and I'm going to do one more duplicate, and just like before, I'm going to rotate this by 90 degrees so that it can be used at the bottom, and I'm going to flip it so that the tabs are on the right side. Now I need to change the dimensions on this again because my box is only 5 inches wide, so change this from my width of 7.5 to 5, and now I've got my 3 tabs. So it's important again for this one, I need to make sure that I copy this box. So I'm going to duplicate it and pull it over to the side for a minute. And I'm going to pull all my tabs onto the box so that they're ready to be welded together. So with all the pieces together, I just weld it quickly, and I'm going to move this box to the front. But before I can finalize this, I'm just going to change this to, I've got a few little tricks here what we're going to do. We're going to change this to a score line because we're going to score this later, but we're also going to add in a triangle here, and we're going to line it up roughly on our box like so, and we're going to change that also to a score line. This is going to help us make the box look pretty later, and then we're going to add a line. So back to shapes, we're going to add a line, and we're going to move you here, and we're going to pull you right up. So I want my score line to sort of sit like that. It's not cooperating today. All right, so now this is my score line that I'm going to have on this box. So I want to make sure that I'm selecting all these pieces, and I'm going to attach them together, and then I'm going to put them on top of my side panel here. And then again, I'm going to attach this all together so that it's ready. Now I've got this one side panel, but I have 2 side panels, so I need to duplicate this. So I've got 2 side panels. So now all that's left is to attach, to do some little clasps to attach onto the purse. So again, back to my shapes. I'm just going to do a little square here. I'm going to pull this up so I can be in the area of my purse so that I can just do some double checks. So these pieces up here that the clasps are going to go through are 7.75 wide. So I want this to be probably, let's go 1.5 inches wide. Now let's go with 2. One looks too small. This gives us a little bit more space here. So that looks about like a good width there. I'm going to add some more squares here just to allow for notching. I'm going to zoom in here because I'm having some... Alright, I like that square there, so I'm going to duplicate it. And I got 2 of them there. So we're going to attach this here. It's centered onto my box here, and I'm going to slice this. Again, I have to slice this in 2 pieces because I can only slice one at a time. So once I've got the slice, I'm going to pull this away, and I'm going to delete these extra bits that I don't need. So this is going to be my clasp for the 4 sides of the bag. So I'm just going to simply duplicate this, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want, you can add an extra set just so that you can glue them together and add a little bit of reinforcing so that it holds your bag better. So each side of the purse will use two clasps that'll be glued together. And now the last thing that we need to do is just to add in a strap. If you want to, you can just use ribbon instead of using paper, but if you want to use the paper, just another rectangle, we want to make this about 0.5 in width again, which is actually the height on this one, so we want 0.5, so we want height of 0.5, based off the way I'm drawing my triangle, my rectangle, and then we want the width to be the maximum that we can do with the Cricut, which is 11.5 based off of a 12 by 12 cardstock. And we're going to duplicate that. Now we've got 2 straps. And that's it. So our bag is ready. So all we need to do is print, set this to make, and off it'll go. Oh, and then we need to make sure that these are attached, so they are, to double check that. And it's ready to go. We can use fancy papers, and also if we want to, we can make a little monogram circle, oval, so just make a circle, and then make it into an oval, and we would place that sort of on the front of our bag. So we just size it about like so, and that could be ready there. So the bag is done, and now we just need to send it to cut, and it will be ready to be glued.